to come without phones. Not because he had asked them to come without phones, not because he had something scandalous to say, but because what he was about to share wasn't meant for headlines. It was personal. His co-anchor, Elise Warren, had been living through the most public nightmare imaginable. Her mother, Margaret Warren, had been missing for 8 days. The nation was watching Elise's composure, but Daniel had been watching something else, something deeper. When he finally began speaking, his voice wasn't dramatic. It was tired. "You all see strength," he said quietly. "I see a daughter still trying to earn it." More than on-air composure. Daniel had sat beside Elise for nearly a decade. He had seen her deliver breaking news through tears, moderate political chaos without blinking, and smile on mornings when she had barely slept. She was known for steadiness. Viewers admired it. Executives relied on it. But Daniel understood that steadiness was not a performance crafted in adulthood. It was inherited. "This isn't just how she handles pressure," he told the room. "It's how she was built." Margaret Warren had raised her daughter with expectations woven tightly into affection. Love was present, but so was measurement. Excellence wasn't encouraged, it was required. And now, as Elise stood before cameras pleading calmly for her mother's safe return, Daniel recognized the familiar pattern. She wasn't just managing a crisis. She was passing an exam that felt decades old. The story she once told Daniel shared something Elise had confided years earlier. When she was 23, fresh out of college, she was offered a modest reporting job in her hometown. It paid almost nothing, but it thrilled her. She called her mother first. Margaret listened and responded gently but firmly. "You're capable of more." Elise never said those words with resentment. She told the story as proof of her mother's belief in her. She went to graduate school instead, then law school, then broadcasting. Each step upward reinforced the narrative that striving equaled love. Daniel remembered the way her expression shifted when recounting it. Half pride, half something unspoken. She thought pushing harder was devotion, he said. She never considered that rest could be love, too. The first video message, when Elise released her first public statement about her mother's disappearance, it was structured meticulously. She thanked law enforcement. She acknowledged community support. She described her mother's character. Only then did she address whoever might have information. Daniel noticed what most viewers didn't. She did not tremble. She did not beg. She did not unravel. "That wasn't cold," he told the small circle. "That was training." Margaret had taught her to approach problems methodically. Thank the helpers. Present facts clearly. State the request without chaos. It sounded less like desperation and more like negotiation. The world interpreted it as professionalism. Daniel saw something else, a daughter speaking as if her mother might someday critique the delivery. Approval as oxygen. There was a phrase Elise once used casually during a late-night conversation after a long week. "When Mom says I did well," she'd said, "I can breathe." Daniel never forgot that wording. Approval was not just pleasant, it was sustaining. Margaret did not withhold love, but she paired it tightly with expectation. Praise arrived when standards were met. Silence arrived when they weren't. Elise learned early that success created warmth. Falling short created distance. It wasn't cruel. It was simply the language of that household. Now, with Margaret missing and unreachable, Elise was navigating a world without feedback. She's trying to earn breath from someone who can't give it right now, Daniel said. And that terrifies her more than the headlines. The "we will pay" moment. The second video shifted public perception. Elise looked straight into the camera and said, "We are prepared to meet the demand." The tone was steady, almost legalistic. Commentators debated strategy. Daniel felt something else entirely. That wasn't just resolve, he explained. That was control. From childhood, Elise had been taught that emotion was something to master, not display. Losing control meant losing authority, and authority meant safety. Even when offering millions for her mother's life, she delivered the words as if presenting closing arguments in court. Inside, Daniel suspected she was shaking. But visible composure was non-negotiable. Somewhere deep inside her, she still believed that if she stayed strong enough, competent enough, her mother would see it and approve. Parenting in reverse, Daniel then shifted the conversation to something more hopeful. He had watched Elise with her own children. She was different with them, gentler, more patient with failure. When her daughter cried after losing a school election, Elise didn't say, "Be stronger." She said, "It's okay to hurt." Daniel had always admired that. Now he understood it as intentional rewriting. Elise was offering her children something she rarely allowed herself: unconditional reassurance. "She's trying to break the cycle quietly," he said. "But right now, with her mom gone, the old rules are louder." When Margaret returns, or if she returns, Elise will still default to the daughter role first. That wiring doesn't disappear overnight. The fear of failing. One question hung heavy in the room. What if the search does not end the way everyone hopes? Daniel hesitated before answering. "Then she won't just grieve," he said softly. "She'll believe she failed." Rationally, she would know she could not control another person's actions. Emotionally, the narrative would feel different. The story she has lived by for decades, that effort prevents loss, that excellence protects love, would fracture. And fractures in foundational beliefs can be devastating. Daniel wasn't accusing Margaret of cruelty. He was describing a bond built on ambition and expectation, so tightly fused that separation feels impossible. Elise is fighting to save her mother, yes, but she is also fighting to preserve the identity her mother helped construct. What strength really costs? Public strength often hides private exhaustion. Elise continues to appear in brief updates, thanking search teams, acknowledging support, staying measured. Viewers praise her courage. Daniel sees the cost. She hasn't given herself permission to fall apart, he told the group, not because she doesn't want to, but because she doesn't know how. For decades, strength has been synonymous with worth. To stop performing strength feels like abandoning the very trait that defined her bond with her mother. It is armor and cage at once. Daniel's voice grew quieter as he admitted something personal. "I just want her to know she doesn't have to earn love anymore." Waiting for two answers. As the reported deadline approaches, Elise waits for news about her mother. But Daniel believes she is also waiting for something else: internal permission. Permission to be imperfect. Permission to weep without calculation. Permission to exist outside evaluation. Whether Margaret returns safely or not, that second answer will matter deeply. "If her mom comes home," Daniel said, "I hope the first words are simply, 'You did enough.'" Because sometimes the most powerful rescue is not physical. It is emotional release from decades of silent grading. Until then, Elise stands before cameras, steady and composed, carrying both the visible crisis and the invisible history that shaped her response to it.